Well, I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard. And he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball. So I don't know. It reminded me of the technical that I got in college where I said, damn it, where it's like a personal frustration. Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor. And I felt like I should have been making more shots.
The reason behind Caitlin Clark's recent dominance over the WNBA is obvious. Do you know why her suspension is almost imminent since she took this action? Yes, simply throwing the ball. Isn't that silly, really? The league appears more concerned in calling technical fouls than in recognizing her talent, even after she broke numerous records and dominated the floor in ways no one had ever seen before. The officials? Whether she's cheering, getting frustrated, or just breathing, it feels like they're waiting for any opportunity to blow the whistle. It's blatantly unfair and, to be honest, perplexing that someone who is so important to the game is regarded like a walking foul magnet. This is absurd, and the WNBA needs to examine itself deeply. Proceed to search everywhere you go. Breaking records, Indiana fever. Really, Caitlin Clark is almost. The whole Indiana fever on her back. Really, the Fever haven't even made it to the playoffs in 9 long years. Not to mention that it's no minor feat, only the finest of the best make it to the playoffs every year. However, Clark has secured a berth on her own in her rookie year. That is absurd, but a storm is coming just as everyone is getting excited for the playoffs. Caitlin Clark is in danger of being suspended. Allow me to explain it to you. The WNBA's tough and ridiculous regulations are staring Clark in the face of suspension, even if he had this historic record-breaking debut season. In a single season, you accumulate 7 technical fouls. And just like that, you're suspended for the following game. And how many does Caitlin have? Guess 6. Yes, she is just 1 tech away from being left out. Furthermore, the timing could not be worse with the playoffs quickly approaching. As if this were a cliffhanger from the season finale, fans are out here chewing their nails. A way of hitting the stanchion with technique. The last occasion, she had argued that she should be free to express her frustration as long as she doesn't act in an overt manner toward any official or player. But the actual deal is this. It goes beyond following the regulation. It's about the way the referees have handled Clark throughout the season. We're talking about a rookie, after all, who hasn't done anything but lead her team, shatter records, and light up the league, but she's getting called out for the tiniest infractions. The purpose of the entire 7-foul rule is to maintain order. Regarding Clark, though, it seems as though she's being penalized for just being passionate on the court. As in, really? Permit the woman to feel thrilled. Even more annoying is the fact that her technical infractions don't entail violent or aggressive penalties. No, the majority are merely her feelings expressing themselves, such as her joy at a successful play or, God forbid, her doubts over a poor decision. Now, let's be honest. After a poor call, who hasn't wished to dispute with the referee? However, Caitlin is being punished for actions that hardly touch the tip of the iceberg in terms of what other people have done. It seems as though Clark is operating under a different set of regulations, which is undoubtedly driving Caitlin nuts as well as her fans. I adore this one. I genuinely do. I adore this young woman. My buddy Mark Shapiro from WME took me down there and we were panelists, so I had the privilege of performing an event with her for homecoming. 10,000 individuals attended. It was simply amazing. As far as collegiate women go, this girl is the greatest in the world. It doesn't matter what people think. Nobody is superior to her. She has incredible talent. Let's now discuss why this all feels like a real smack in the face. Caitlin Clark is not your typical rookie. Her performances are legendary. With 329 assists, she easily broke the WNBA record for most assists in a single season. Oh, and she also smashed the record for rookie scoring, which had stood since 2006 with a carefree 761 points. In addition, she earned a position in the WNBA All-Star Game and became the first rookie to accomplish a triple-double. This isn't just a skilled player. Someone is altering the rules here. Despite all of that, we can't seem to get past the topic of technical fouls. Come on, I mean, her 35-point performance, a career high, was astounding. The referees, meanwhile, were still keeping a close eye on her. Things like a furious slap on the stanchion. We're talking about things that have accumulated, really. She's suddenly in this strange situation where her next little tantrum could cost her a game. It's really crazy that the WNBA is so focused on punishing her rather than promoting her for someone who has accomplished so much in such a short period of time. I received a technical for. I was essentially angry with myself for missing the 3 and hitting the backboard after that. He also informed me that it was an insult to the game of basketball. Thus, I'm not sure. I was reminded of a technical I had in college, and I remember saying to myself, damn it, this is just personal frustration that has nothing to do with my team. There was nothing to do with other teams or their officiating. It was merely a result of my competition. I also thought I ought to have been taking more pictures. This is how the possible suspension looks. Threatening to ruin what should be the most impressive rookie campaign to date. The WNBA is already facing criticism for the way it is handling players such as Clark. Yes, regulations are regulations. Enforcing them, however, is not the same as arbitrarily singled out for criticism a player who is unquestionably transforming the sport. I can assure you that Caitlin Clark's technical fouls are just as outrageous as her season-breaking performance. You'll chuckle when you learn why she's been having a hard time with them. The referees appear to be biased against her. And to be honest, some of these calls are so absurd that you can't help but shake your head. In the first instance, Clark receives a technical for doing what? All basketball players do. Defending a bad call. Come on, are you really saying that I can't challenge a referee without them going crazy? It's not as though she's hurling blows or initiating fights. She simply thought the call wasn't appropriate. And voila, a technical foul. Next, we address technical number 2. And this one is just ridiculous. Clark follows any normal course of action after making a three-point shot. She is jubilant. I'm referring to an average I simply kind of celebrated like I just crushed a giant shot. However, it seems that the referee saw that she was overly joyful and gave her a technical for excessive celebration. Too much? Is it illegal to celebrate a major play now? That would have been the high point in any other game. Instead, Caitlin must contend with a fine. As if the referees have never witnessed a player truly take pleasure in the game. And Clark's response, it is located in the guidebook. That's just the way things are. Just a tiny bit of self-annoyance. Therefore, I believe that I could have controlled my emotions more effectively. However, concurrently, like really. Thus, I'm not sure. However, it is a regulation. They must call, and I will then receive it. Simply put, it's difficult. Yes, Clark possesses that degree of acceptance and humility. However, the third technical hit us later. Here's where things get a little messy. After getting into a heated argument with another player, Clark is called for unsportsmanlike behavior. Let's be honest, though. Gamers constantly switch between them. The game's inherent nature almost requires trash talk. However, Clark manages to acquire another technology for what most would simply refer to as competitiveness. It appears as though the referees are waiting for her to glance at someone inappropriately before adding another foul to the record. Fourth, following a contentious call during a game against the Phoenix Mercury, Clark doesn't remain silent. Furthermore, who would truly speak up when the referees blew a call? That's the way things are. She just can't seem to get a break, Clark. That's a technical foul with just one word. We've all witnessed players engage in heated arguments with referees in the interim without the referees raising an alarm. But they act quickly to take action when it involves Caitlin. Next, we arrive to the sixth one. Perhaps the most puzzling of them all is this one. A technical game delay. As in, really. Postponing the game isn't precisely a serious offense, it takes place. However, the referees handled it as though she had just committed the greatest basketball sin. It's not as though she intentionally tries to slow down the game. And yet here we are, yet another method for something that 9 times out of 10 gets entirely overlooked added to the list. The sixth technical, which is the most applicable and still current, is the last one. Clark smashes her hands on the hoop in frustration. Who hasn't wanted to vent their resentment on something by now? But the referees again give her a technical instead of offering some understanding or even a warning. It's almost funny at this point. I mean, are they simply holding out for her to exhibit any sort of emotion in order to raise the alarm? However, Clark has managed to maintain her composure as she is here. I believe I performed better. I still felt that there were maybe 1 or 2 instances where I could have performed a little bit better. But that's essentially over now. That's no longer a concern for me, but I still don't want to receive any technical errors. Let's now discuss the unspoken issue, which is Clark's treatment in comparison to other players. Earlier this season, for instance, Angel Reese flagrantly fouled Clark. A blatant. That's quite significant. Correct? And, she has a pretty difficult time there. Any interaction that occurs above the shoulders. Did Reese, though, face the same degree of scrutiny? Nope. Clark, on the other hand, is hit for just expressing herself on the court, not for violently hitting people's heads. It's as like Caitlin is subject to a different, more stringent set of regulations than everyone else. Is that equitable? In actuality, Clark's technical fouls aren't the result of her acting rashly or violently. They are the outcome of her zeal, passion, and yes, occasionally frustration. However, they are precisely the attributes you want in a player who is fully committed to the game, as of the last time I looked, and yet she's penalized for it on a regular basis. In the meantime, many more heinous actions by other gamers go unpunished and go unnoticed. Clark, her supporters, and anybody else who simply wants to see some fairness in the call of the game find it frustrating. There is a stark disparity in the officiating. Clark is taking hits on the field and continuing to play despite uncalled knocks and bruises, and she's the one who suffers the consequences the moment she responds. She is obviously someone anyone would be. It's not just a matter of whether she will be suspended at this point. The WNBA is allowing this to happen to someone who is essentially changing the game for that reason.